Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's stream. A talking head stream again tonight rather than game streams. I'm going to address that elephant in the room up front. I have been very, very busy recently moving into the studio, which you've seen in some of the streams. You can see behind the scenes here. This is the little cubby. I've got my airbrush and all my armies along the side back here, but this is the producer desk that I'm streaming from. I know I've made several promises about there definitely being streams regularly. Life's happened. My job is very busy at the moment, and there's a bunch of other life stuff going on. So I've not been able to stream as much as I would like. Part of that was down to WTC practice. I didn't want to show too many hands, as it were. We had a lot of different armies that I was testing in the run-up to WTC, which I can touch on later if we want. Let me just double check we are live first. But yes, so that's why the game streams haven't been. There will be a stream on Thursday. I've got Brendan coming back on stream. It will be a WTC stream now that the lists are live. It's going to be a quote-unquote live practice session, just to practice the micro, as it were, on the board. It changes very differently. And then the week after that, or the week before WTC, or 2 weeks before WTC, there will be no streams. I am going to be incredibly busy with various other things. I will try and do a hobby stream on the week before, which is also the week before ITT, which is hence the other part of my job, or my job getting very busy. So that's the current schedule, but after WTC, it will be regular. I want to get the hobby streams back. I want to get the regular games back, and I want to look at other game systems. I will need a break from 40k after WTC. I am probably going to be looking at the old world. The new cafe boxes, I think, look really, really good. So I want to get my hands on some of those and play. Build, paint, play, all of it streamed, learning the game as well. But that is in the future. Before we get into the 40k content, though, I would like to ask you, if you do enjoy the content, if you do want to support the channel, the best way to do it and the freest way to do it is to like, subscribe, and to share the channel to your friends. We've had really, really good growth in the first 6 months of this year. We doubled the size, so keep it up, please. It helps me. I've had a lot of good feedback about the content that we produce. I only want to improve it. There's a lot of things that I'm looking to actively improve as well. So liking the channel, or liking the streams and subscribing to the channel really helps me know what sort of content people want to watch, what people want to see, and people's view of it. So there's that. And as you can see up on either side, we have the main channel sponsors. If you want to support the channel by supporting these businesses, they have both provided essentially an affiliate program where if you buy something, there'll be no extra cost to you, and I will get it back. Or I will get a little bit of a kickback off your purchase. So the first one is Mighty Mealy Games. There is a link down below. If you click and use that link, it will automatically sort it all out for you, and you can buy your Warhammer. Really good discount. Phil is fantastic. If it isn't in stock and you would like it, reach out to him. There's a good chance you'll be able to order it in. Over in the Market Drayton area. Huge fan of them. They actually provided me a bunch of score pads for the new edition, which I'm looking forward to testing out at WTC. So thank you very much for Phil for that. And then the other one is Nathan, otherwise known as Resin War Games. High quality 3D prints, all commercially licensed, fantastic quality, the highest resolution printers that you can actually get your hands on commercially. So go check him out. He's just started doing this full time as his job. So supporting him supports me. Use code top of the table, and you do have to put this in manually. It will give you 20% off your order, and it gives me a little bit of kickback. So everybody's a winner. Free shipping for the UK and shipping at cost if you're not in the UK. Right. That's all the pre-spiel stuff. Let's get into the actual fun part, WTC. So for those of you that don't know what WTC is, the World Teams Championship. It is the World Cup of Warhammer for teams, which is the different format, slightly different from WCW, which is the World Championship of Warhammer, which I'm also going to, and I will be doing some content on that as well. So what it is this year there's 42 teams flying over to, or traveling over to Leoben, Austria, for 3 days, I believe it is, might be 4, 7 rounds of Warhammer, and at the end of it we'll have a world champion. Last year France won it, and they are looking on fire this year as well, so that'll be very interesting how it all plays out. But it all starts with the pod phase. So what the pod phase is based on your previous placings as a country. I think in the last 3 years, that you've been to a WTC. They take your ranking and seed you based on that. So the top 10 teams are in Tier 1, the next 10 are in Tier 2, etc., down to Tier 4. When there's an odd number of teams, Tier 4 is slightly larger. Teams that are new to the format or who have never been before, they get put into Tier 4 as well. So there's a few of those that are like much stronger than Tier 4, but they're there because it's their first or second time. So, and then based on that, they randomly select pods out of each of these seeds. So they start with the Tier 4 teams and they draw them all into it, and then Tier 3, Tier 2, and Tier 1, etc. If you want to see that live stream in progress, as you see up here, Breaking Heads are the German stream. They hosted it this year. I think they hosted it last year as well. But you can go and watch that all live there. But this is the breakdown of the pods, which I'm going to very briefly sort of run through. Let me zoom in a little bit so it's a bit easier for people to see. I'm going to run through these pods really quickly and give my predictions basically for each of the pods, talk about any of the notable countries there, and then we're going to spend a fair bit of time going through the lists in Ireland's pod so that I can at least claim that I've done my homework and looked at them. But there's also some interesting lists in here that I think will be worth talking about. So we'll start with pod 1, which is Austria, Canada, Wales, and Hong Kong. Shout out Wales, one of the DRG teammates. Gareth Harris is playing for Wales this year. He is his first year applying to a WCT team, and he's made it, so thrilled for him. It'll be so good to see him there. Spoiler alert, Greg has also made it for England in his first year of applying as well. And then we also have a fourth DRG member representing the UN team. Mark has, I believe he's captaining it, I'm not sure, but he's got on there as well. So we're sending 4 of our local team to WTC, which is fantastic. Gareth and Greg have both been on the channel before, and I can't wait to get over there and hopefully not play them, because traveling several thousand miles to play your mates is a bit of a laugh, right? So in pod 1, I don't know so much about Hong Kong. I think it's their first year, so they're a relatively unknown quantity. But this is Austria and Canada probably looking to come out 1 and 2 in this pod. Depending on what the missions are, there can be some stalls in here. So for the pod phase, when you play within your pod, the 3 rounds are supply drop on Tipping Point, hidden supplies on Hammer and Anvil, and then take and hold also on Hammer and Anvil. Supply drop and hidden supplies are very polarized missions. They very strongly benefit who goes first and who goes second, depending on the matchup. So you can see some really dead results if you just get the wrong side of the roll for the first turn. But we'll touch on that later. So I think Austria are going to win this, and Canada will be a close second. There is a world Hong Kong can snipe a draw out of it and finish ahead of Canada. I don't know them well enough as a team to predict more than that. Moving on to pod 2, we have Sweden, New Zealand, Northern Ireland, and United Nations. This is going to be a bit rough for Northern Ireland and perhaps the United Nations, who haven't got as much time together and practice as they could perhaps would want. Sweden are one of the favourites almost every year. They did very, very well last year, and this year are also very, very strong. They are running double nights, which is something they ran last year as well. It's a great success. So expecting them to be a bit of a powerhouse and walking through this pod with a fair degree of comfort. New Zealand probably also, I would expect to make it out of the pod. Pod 3 we have in the Netherlands, Scotland, Switzerland, and Luxembourg. This is also fairly strong pod. I think Netherlands and Scotland are very, very close. The Netherlands have been doing very well recently in the run-up events that we've been at. And Scotland always really consistent. If they get the prep and the pairings that they want, they can really, really put a good result in. Not had the pleasure of playing against Switzerland, but I have played against Luxembourg several times, and they are really lovely guys with some very strong players. So I'm sure that will be no easy games in that pod, but I will expect to see Netherlands and Scotland come out on top in 1-2. Then we get into pod 4, which is Spain, ourselves in Ireland, Romania, and Latvia. Latvia are a bit of a dark horse. They recently performed very, very strongly at Pyra, and they are one of the ones to watch from Tier 4. I believe it's their first time, hence they're in Tier 4, but they are very strong showing. We are very worried about them. I'm very worried about them, as we'll see their list later, aren't so fun for the Gene Stealer Cults. And Romania, I think I've played in this room before, but I'm looking forward to playing two countries that actually I've not played Spain, so three countries that I've never played before. Spain are historically a very strong team. They came second or third, I believe, last year. And this year they have brought some really wild lists. A lot of fun. I don't know the exact standings of this pod. I think Latvia could come and flip it between Latvia and Spain to see who comes in second. Obviously, I'm going to say Ireland are going to win the pod because why wouldn't I? Good evening, gentlemen in the chat as well. Probably talk to the chat as well. I'm in full-on presentation mode. I've got my notes, notepad, and everything. Pod 5 is Australia, Norway, Slovakia, and Cyprus. The Norwegians, I think, are feeling very happy about this pod. Their lists match up very well into the missions for the Australian list and the Slovakia team. Cyprus I haven't looked too much into, but I expect there'll be very few surprises in here when Australia and Norway come out on top. Then we get to the really spicy pod of pod 6, which is Germany, Belgium, Iceland, and South Africa. This is a fairly scary pod. Belgium, famously with Prep, are one of the strongest teams in the world. They have Liam VSL, who is arguably the best player in the world, and Germany are a just phenomenally strong and consistent team. That's going to be the big clash there. They will, I believe, play in round 3, which means they'll be playing on Take and Hold and Hammer and Anvil, which is a bit spicy. We'll look at the maps in a bit, but whoever wins that is going to win the pod, and then I would expect the other one follows closely behind. Unfortunately for Iceland and South Africa, they could be taking a bit of a beating in the pod stage here. But not to say that they don't have some very solid players. South Africa we played last year, very nearly. I think we won by only a few points on the round, and Iceland have also got some very strong players. Pod 7 is Poland, Thailand, Greece, and Portugal. 3 very strong teams, and Poland, who are one of the favourites for the whole event. So I'm expecting Poland to win this pod. I could not tell you who the next 3 are. If I had to put money on it, I would go with Thailand, just because we played Singapore, Thailand last year, and they were very, very strong. In pod 8, we have England, which I have to give a shout out to Greg. He's representing his country there. Malta, Czech Republic or Czechia, and China. England and China were in the same pod last year, along with Ireland and South Africa. China are really good. They have some very big names from the UK scene, such as Ran Chen Li, and I can't remember the other ones. But China are going to be the standouts in this pod behind England, I believe. Malta are very strong, so are the Czech Republic. But I think it's probably going to be England, China in that order for this pod's standings. In pod 9, we have USA, Denmark, Bulgaria, and Israel. This is a interesting one. The Bulgarians and the Israelis, I do not know how they've performed historically, so I'm going to be interested to see what they bring. I think USA are the clear favourites in this pod, and Denmark will most likely come out of second. Then we get into pod 10, which you'll notice is bigger than all the other pods. It has a slightly different seeding process to make up for the fact that there are 42 teams and not 40 this year. The way this is going to work, rather than every team playing in it, I believe France will play Italy, Finland, and one of the tier 4 teams. Italy will play Finland, France, and one of the tier 4 teams, and then all the tier 4 teams will play each other, and then they'll all play one up. I believe it's how they explained it on stream. I was not paying attention. I was busy looking at the list for pod 4. I think France are the clear favourites in this. I would say Finland following second, but I do not understand how their format is going to work enough to opine on that. Italy can either be a very strong team or a not so strong team, depending on which version of Italy turn up, much like in the rugby. So they're the pods. No, Craig, I am playing for Ireland. It's my country. But in terms of my overall predictions, obviously I've said who I think is going to win the pods. I think for the overall event, I would see France doing very, very well. I think that it's going to be a close second between Sweden and the US. And then third place is a real toss-up. You've got Germany, Belgium, and Spain historically. But I hope, if all goes well, we put a stop on that. But The top 10 is going to be really, really, really mixed up. There's teams like England. I think China are going to perform very well again, like they did last year, and Canada, New Zealand, the classic ones up there. So that's the pod phase. That's the sort of the little bit of scene setting, so that I can, as a YouTuber, say that I've covered the pod phase. If you guys want to see me break down the different pods a little bit more, let me know in the chat or the comments. I will hopefully find some time to do some content on the individual pods, and then whilst I'm out there, sort of live tweet the updates or something like that. So now we're going to go through some of the lists, well, all of the lists for pod 4, so that we have an idea of what my pod is going to include. So we'll start with Ireland, because I don't have to evaluate these too much, and I can be very careful not to accidentally spill our game plan. Start with myself. I'm playing the Gene Stealer Cults, the host of Ascension. So this is the many neophytes. The drop down, it's the index attachment. When I arrive, I get ignore cover and sustained hits. All of my big squads have lethal hits, either through the flaw in their armor enhancement or just being led by a Benefactus. And then they just point and click at something and hope it goes away, using the crit 5s to really guarantee it, and rerolls with Primus really synergizes nicely there. So it's the same list you saw me practice on TTS last week, I believe it was. So we have 3 Benefactuses, one with the Assassination Edict for +1 to hit against characters. I had some points spare, but it also is really efficient into Big Knights. Just having +1 to hit mitigates the fact that that unit has no access to rerolls. 2 normal Benefactors. These guys all give lethal hits to their squad that they're leading. They have a las cannon brain bullet sort of thing that is hazardous, and they have 3 wounds, which is hilarious when they roll a 1 and just pop their own brains instead of whatever they're shooting at. A Nexus and a Primus with a chink in their armor. The Primus, this will give his squad lethal hits. He gives his squad full rerolls. He also gives me a bit of redeploy, so I can really be flexible about how much I start on and off the board, depending on the mission, the positioning, or the rest of it. Reductor Saboteur, who is my Warlord. She has reactive move mortal. She's got 3 grenade strats. If I want to throw out mortal wounds, I can. And a one-shot demo charge. She's also a lone op, so she's very easy to protect in those matchups where I want to protect my Warlord off Knight's Cough. 1 Acolyte Hybrids with auto pistols and heavy mining tools. Anti-vehicle 4+ with flat 3 damage is good, but these guys also have the datasheet ability for, on a 4+, at the start of the command phase, if they're in range of objectify control, I'll get a CP. So it gives me a little bit of CP economy, especially with the free strat from the Nexus. I have 3 units of Hand Flamers. These guys reroll 1s to hit, 1s to wound all the time, and full rerolls if you're touching an objective. They are very good point scoring units. They're 70 points. They are just consistent. And then we get into the meat of the list. We have 4 units of 20 Neophyte Hybrids with seismic cannons, mining lasers, and webbers and grenade launchers in each squad, with the exception of 1 squad having stubbers instead of mining lasers because reasons. I have a 10-man squad as well, just early game action monkey and a nice little bit of throwaway scoring if I need it. Neophytes provide sticky objectives, so having a unit that I can go out to try and sticky an objective without risking losing all of my characters is nice to have. I have 3 Achilles Ridge Runners with mortars and survey augers, which means that after they hit you with their indirect strip cover, I +1 AP. Even on the turn when I've not dropped down, I'm still getting the ignore cover, and I can still benefit from AP1 ignoring cover on a bucket of dice is quite good. It's how this list wants to play. I then have 3 units of 5 Atalan Jackals with grenade launchers and mining lasers on the Wolf Quads. These guys chuck out a bunch of mortals when they finish a move. They have the grenades keyword, they scout 9, they move 12, they are just fast. They can get really up in the face, be a nice screen, or they can chip a bunch of mortals into big stuff. The way this list pulls down big stuff is via Pocket Sand and a bucket of dice with lethal hits. And then running out the list, we have 2 Pure Stone Gene Stealers because they are just good. Infiltrate, Advance and Charge, 5 up inv on 2 wounds apiece. Deep Strike for when they want to come back in through the army rule gives them a lot of flexibility. So that's my list, and that's probably going to be the most in-depth list review that we do because it's my list, I know what it does. We'll go into Colin, who is our captain. He is our Chaos Knights with the Lords of Dread. One of the few Lords of Dread lists we see here. The majority of Chaos Knights players have got Infernal Lance, but Colin is on Infernal Lords of Dread, and he is doing work with it. So we are happy to have that. We have 3 Knight Abominants. These are the the Volkite one with the Dev Wound guy and the big tail. 2 despoilers, one with double Gatling, one with double thermal cannon. I don't know what the enhancements do, so I'm not gonna do it. And 2 carnivores. This is big stompy stuff. Can leverage the stratagem for sticky with OC5, and he can do it for free once per turn as well as part of his attachment rule. So he can really just sticky and bully primary. That's sort of the archetype that Knights want to play. Anyway, then we have Hugh, one of the other rookies on the team this year. So myself, Hugh, and Peter are rookies for this year. He is on the Necrons, the Awakened Dynasty. We have Illuminor Xeras, Oracle the Diviner, Royal Warden, Scorpec Lord, 2 Technomancers, and that's it for characters. I say that's it. It's like 8 characters. It's a lot for Awakened Dynasty. It's the indexed attachment. One of the more common builds we're seeing is Awakened Dynasty with 20, 40 warriors or 6, 12, 18 wraiths. This is no different, as we will see. We have 20 warriors. We have 12 wraiths, a reanimator, 2 Doomsday Arcs, and 2 units of 3 Scorpec Destroyers. Go and punch stuff in the face, stand on objectives, and not die. Scott, yes, I have definitely copied Taz. Definitely not Innes Wilson's list. I was talking with Taz a lot, and I guess now that list's alive and have you seen that, I was in a very humming and hawing place about taking guard or taking GSC. For various reasons, we end on the GSC. This list is just good on WTC. It plays very well, and I enjoy it, which is the main thing. I like playing it, but yes, I could put Steve on a diet to lose a bunch of weight and shave his beard and pretend he's me. But he has been a very good help with me learning GSC again. I've been a GSC player for a while, but it's been a while since I played them competitively. And then next up we have our Death Guard, Mike, who was our Marines player last year. He is playing Miasmic Bombardment, which I believe is Hammer of Mortarion. I'm awful at remembering the attachment rules, but he is playing Hammer. Lord of Virulence with the Low Knot Reroll Wounds enhancement. Lord of Contagion, a big unit of 6 Death Shroud, 2 units of 3 Death Shroud, 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers, 3 Bloat Drones with Blight Launchers, 2 Blight Haulers, and 3 Plague Burst Crawlers. This list just goes pew pew pew, oops, you're dead from across the board. Death Guard are the most popular faction. 40 of the 42 teams are taking them, and they are just good. They're one of the strongest books at the event, so there's no surprise to see all of them here. We then have Peter, Sisters, and Imperial Knights as an ally. We'll see in a second. Not many Sisters players at this event. People seem to be not so hyped on Sisters, but there are a surprising amount of them. I think people were quite surprised at how many Sisters actually turned up. So we have Righteous Purpose, which I'm guessing is the Grotmus attachment, Champions of Faith. Because I believe this is many Sacrosancts. So it's the one that I think you can make Hallowed, and Sacrosancts get a little bit better. So we have 3 Hospitaliers. These bring models back. Junith for CP generation, Morven Varl, because Varl and the Galapals can kill knights, which is good when the meta's full of knights. A unit of Battle Sisters and an Immolator, presumably to split them. 1 unit of 3 Archoflagellants, 2 Castigators, 3 units of 10 Celestian Sacrosancts, 1 unit of Paragon Warsuits, and Canis Rex himself. Whilst we have not brought dedicated Imperial Knights, we did indeed... Oh, I should probably not do that, sir. We did indeed bring Imperial Knights, because they are very good. Yeah, I played GSC. I think I came second at a Carnage event with them once or twice. Moving on to our Dark Angels. We are one of the few nations that brought Dark Angels. The most common by far are Space Wolves, and there's a few Blood Angels popping around there. We are in Gladius, which again is not... It's fairly non-standard. Most Dark Angel lists are looking at Stormlance at the moment, but we have gone with Gladius. We have Azrael, or as I keep calling him, Gulliman from Wish. No, Calgar from Wish, because the strat CP generation, that's it. A captain with the Punchy enhancement, a Grav captain with the damage protection enhancement, Katan Mandan, as fans of the channel will know. Lieutenant with combi weapon, Assault Intercessor Squad, a regular Intercessor Squad, 3 units of Deathwing Knights, 2 Gladiator Lancers, 1 Gladiator Reaper, 1 unit of Inner Circle Companions, and an Invader ATV. This is run and punch stuff. This is simple. Here's 15 Deathwing Knights. Can you deal with it? It's a fairly standard Deathwing Knights list. So I'm excited to see how he gets on with that. Then we have Sam Nash, who was our GK player last year. He has jumped to the other side of the Witches and is now playing Thousand Suns. We are playing Grand Coven. And I would pretend to analyze this list. I ain't got a clue what Thousand Suns do, so I'm just going to read them out and hope that's enough for you guys. We have Exalted Sorcerer on disc, 2 Infernal Masters, 3 regular Sorcerers, a Zangor Shaman, 2 units of 3, 4, 5 units of Rubric Marines. Look how confident I knew that one. 2 Chaos Rhinos, 3 Vortex Beasts, and then 12 Zangor Enlightened on discs. These are the goat bows, as I've been running around and causing havoc everywhere for 80 points. They are pretty damn cheap. And a unit of 10 Zangors. I don't know what Zangors do, so there's that. Yeah, the list is good. Greg, I've played against it. It's a headache. Even without the fights first, there's enough in that list that some armies do not want to charge it. And then we have Tom, who was our Tower player last year. So they have taken a fair change into Shadow Legion. So Demons. We have... This is where our CSM went. People are asking us why we didn't take CSM. We have taken them. They're in Shadow Legion. We have Be'lakor with the Fade Thirster. After he kills a unit in combat, he can go into reserves. This has been FAQ'd by WTC to clarify the timings. He cannot get it with the AoE Mortals. If it kills a unit, he won't be able to use that to fade into darkness. So a slight nerf there, but Tom's been having very good success with it all the same. 1 unit of Blue Horrors for some infiltrate shenanigans, I assume. 1 Beast of Nurgle, 3 units of 6 Screamers. This seems to be fairly standard in every Demon's list at the moment. When there's a vehicle heavy meta, you take anti-vehicle 4+, AP 2 for 2. Screamers go chomp, chomp, chomp. Then we have 1 unit of Cursed Cultists. This is a 16-man squad with the Dark Commune. So we have the AC/DC brick with the enhancement for Scout, I want to say that is. 1 unit of Cultist Mobs, 3 units of Raptors. I've played against Tom a lot. This list is really annoying for me to deal with. I still don't know what it does. So I'm sure they will go smash with it and we'll be very happy with them. Right, that was Team Islands stuff. We will go into our round 1, which is Romania. We will be playing them Supply Drop, which is the new Supply Drop. You only score the center, disappearing objectives, but it's always the center one that stays now. So we know that is around. Romania are our tier 3 team. So we play tier 3, then we play tier 4, and then we play tier 1. That's how this is Swiss, I believe it, technical term. That's our a pattern or fixings. So we're going to start with Andrei's Leagues of Votann. This is the index attachment because all index except for 1. We have Brocade Ironmaster with Appraising Glare. This is point at an objective that I don't control. Everything on that objective counts as having an additional judgment token, which is what the detachment and the armor plays off of. Excuse me. We have an Iron Hair Champion with Weevil Crest, I believe is the Invun. An Axe gives him a little bit of skirmish capabilities. Don't hate it. 2 units of Hearthkin Warriors with all the shooting. These will probably be split by Sagittars. We'll have 1 unit of plebs to go and score stuff, 1 unit of actually useful stuff, is how I imagine that will play. I have not brushed up on Votann. I'm not surprised that they're here. They're very good at killing big stuff, which the meta mostly is, with their Judgment Tokens and the Berserks, flat 3 damage. We have 3 Sagittars with high las beam cannons. These are sustained las cannons, essentially. With the +1 to hit and +1 to wound from tokens, they can really put out some damage. They can also advance and disembark guys. So this is a very cheap package for Votann. It's 165 points to deposit 13 OC on an objective from 12 plus an advance away. So pretty speedy. We have 2 units of 10 Chthonian Berserks, which I imagine will be going inside the 2 Land Fortresses. Fight on death on a 4+ with flat damage 3 into +1 to hit and +1 to wound. Kills a lot of stuff. Very good into dealing with knights, with one of the core stratagems in this detachment being +1 AP in melee per judgment token you have. So you can get to AP 4, flat damage 3 into knights, which don't have invuns. It's how Votan like to deal with knights if they're not shooting them to death from across the board, which they can do with the Land Fortresses. Conversion Beamer rule, which means they will get sustained hits D3 on a 4+ rather than on just a 6 if they shoot at you from more than 12 inches away. So it's like reverse rapid fire. Very, very useful with your strength 10 -2 ignoring cover, flat damage 4 gun. A little bit of a casino cannon, but it's strong enough. All the same, they take a fair bit of killing. The common play pattern I expect to see here is Land Fortress goes out, threatens something, stages up with the Berserks inside to say, how are you going to deal with this? The opponent pops out to deal with it, and then the rest of the Votan just jump on whatever's come out and start to punch in the face from there. 2 units of Pioneers, 6 bikes, they uppy downy, they have a bucket of dice and they can get sustained hits, or if they're shooting a judge token, sustained hits 2. They ignore cover, they get +1 to hit against stealth. This unit is savage. It will drop big stuff very quickly if it rolls well. And then 1 unit of Hernkin Jaegers, infiltrates, D6 reactive move. It buys a lot of space for all of the scout moves out of the Votan if they want it, but also it can really help relieve a lot of pressure early doors as well. A fairly standard list. I think this is very similar to one that Tim Schneider's been running in Germany, one of the best Votan players in the world. Not overly surprised to see a list like this. There's a fair few Votan lists that look quite similar to this. Definitely good on the shorter boards, but can also play long boards quite well. Then we have Ultramarines. So this is Gladius Ultramarines with combat doctrines, Marnius Calgar, and Gilliman. So again, another fairly common staple in the meta at the moment. 1 unit of Assault Intercessors, 2 units of Assault Intercessors with jump packs, 1 Infiltrator Squad for 12-inch Deep Strike Deny, which makes my GSC very sad. 2 Predator Destructors with, I want to say these are the +1 AP squad, so they can like pump up for the big boys, which is the double Repulsor Executioner list that we see here with the Laser Destroyers. This feels very much like a I see a knight, I don't want to see it anymore list, with the +1 to wound from Oaths and the 4 rerolls it can get across the board. 2 Scout Squads and 2 Stormspeeder Hammer Strikes to strip cover. Yeah, so fairly different from what we have seen from Ultramarine Gladius before. They used to like to run 3 Ballistuses, some Vindicators, normally a Gladiator Reaper as well. And that's the common one that we saw in the UK, with Calgar leading Company Heroes for the -1 to wound. But this is very much, I want to kill knights. This looks like an answer to knights. We are seeing a lot less Ultramarines than expected, mostly in favour of Space Wolves. There's a lot in Space Wolves' book that is quite good, and the Ultramarine nerfs maybe pulled them a little bit out of vogue, but they're still very efficient at killing big knights, which is where the meta is going. There are a lot of Imperial Knights, vehicle heavy Death Guard lists. Chaos Knights quite popular, or they're more popular than Death Guard, than Imperial Knights. So seeing this is not surprising. This exact configuration is interesting to see how he's got a lot of stacking combo pieces with the +1 AP, the +1 or the strip cover, and then hit you with a Repulsor Executioner and see does it die. My 20-man bricks of my 20 mans are quaking in their boots if they weren't just going to die to it without all the buffs. So very interesting to see how this actually plays out on the board. Then we have Dorin with his Necrons. This is Star Shatter. Relentless Onslaught is Star Shatter, so everything has Assault. There's some tricks for auto-advancing and going through walls with his vehicles. And here, Catacomb Command Barge with Red Magistery. I'm assuming that's the -1 damage. And then we'll have, I don't know what the other ones are. The one I know in Star Shatter is there'll be one that can fall back and shoot, and then there's one that's -1 damage, and it usually just goes on the Silent King, and he stands in the middle and says, come and have a go if you think you're out enough. So we have Scorpec Lord, and a Technomancer. I'm imagining there's going to be at least 6 Wraiths in this list. The Silent King, And then we get into the other data sheets. One Reanimator and one unit of Canoptic Wraiths. With Crypto Thralls, this is going to be his main source of holding primary. I'm going to send a bunch of Wraiths on it. If you kill me when I reanimate, I get an additional D3, and then you can waste your shots if you really want, with a 4-up Invan, 5-up Feel No Pain, and 2 Crypto Thralls to chew through. There's not much that wants to deal with that. I believe there's a reactive move after you've been shot in Star Shatter as well. 1 unit of Death Marks, 2 Doomsday Arcs, 1 unit of Flayed Ones, 2 single Locust Destroyers, and 2 squads of 3 Scorpec Destroyers, presumably as trading pieces. They can either attach in the matchup with the Scorpec Lord or not. It depends if they want to. Good skirmish pieces, run at stuff, get rerolls to hit and dev wounds, and maybe spike yourself up there. Backed up with some pretty serious shooting from the Doomsday Arcs and the Silent King, for either ignoring modifiers, I think that's still something he does, or reroll ones to hit and wound. So very interesting list there. One of the few Star Shatter lists. The overwhelming majority of Necrons have gone for Awakened Dynasty, except for Wales, who've taken Canoptic Court. They're the only Canoptic Court list there. So, I did not estimate how much talking I was going to have to do in this. My apologies if you can hear me getting quite snuffly. The hay fever is kicking up, and my throat is going. So, Imperial Knights, Noble Lance, Noble Lance, Indomitable Heroes. This is the index attachment, so he's presumably going to take. He gets rerolls a hit and a wound as his army roll, and then he can get a 6-up Feel No Pain, which can become a 5-up Feel No Pain if he goes in once he kills the Warlord, and a boat of extra CP if he wants it. Canis Rex, because Canis Rex is so good at 380 points. Why wouldn't you take him? He crits on 5s, everything's sustained, and he has a free strat. Like, he's just good. 2 Cerastus Knight Lancers. I believe these guys have advance and charge. They've got 4-up Invan all the time, and they can now go through walls, which is great. Banner of Macarius Triumphant is sticky objectives, so sticky and run at you and see what happens. A Knight Castellan, not sure what that does. I know it's the big boy, but I don't know exactly what it does. Mysterious Guardian, it gives it deep strike and uppy downy, so it has rapid ingress threat. It has repositioning threat. With the Volcano Lance, Siege Breaker Cannon, Twin Melter Gun, and the Missile Launcher, and the Plasma Death. I'm assuming this is the I'm okay in the Knight's Mirror, because I'm going to charge 2 Lancers at you if you let me, and then the Castellan can shoot the rest. See what happens. Probably just a fairly good shooting platform. 2 Armed Jehovarans, a Calidus Assassin, and a Navigator. So we have some 12-inch Deep Strike Deny. We have Vect, Fight First, Low Knot, Uppy Downy. So there's the scoring mission play. The Navigator is suitably annoying for GSC with the 12-inch no-drop sections. I would not be thrilled to play this on a small map with the double Lancers, but we'll see how it goes. Our round 1 is Tipping Point, which is fairly close. I'll pull the maps up in a second, and we'll go through those and provide some context. Okay, moving on then, we have Empress Children. One of, I want to say 2 Empress Children. John Lennon being the other Empress Children player. So there must be something there if John's playing them. So we have Coterie the Conceited. This is the most popular one by far. It declares a number of kills. If it gets there, it gets buffs. Reroll ones to hit, reroll ones to wound, sustained on everything. Oh, crits on I never let it get past sustain. Reroll ones to hit and wound. So we have Demon Prince of Slash with Wings with stand back up enhancements. Another one of those. Fortunately, not 3 of them. Empress Children take some pretty hefty points nerfs to drop running 3 of everything good. We have 3 Lord Exultants, presumably leading 3 units of Tormentors, a Lord Cacophonist, and Lucius the Eternal, who I think should have to be the Warlord. Oh no, I guess not. It's only in regular CSM, I think he has to be the Warlord. We then have 3 units of Infractors. These are the reroll ones to wound, full rerolls if you're on an objective. These will go with the Lord Exultants and let them kill God. 1 Tormentor squad for, I want to say these are the infiltrating sticky dudes. Chaos Rhino to provide a little bit of platform jumping, as it were, jump out platform. 2 units of Mortal Fiends with Magma Cutters. These guys are very good. They were very underrated at the start of the Empress Children, but they are seeing much more popularity now. They are good into Knights, which I imagine is why they're in this list. And then 3 Noise Marines, because Noise Marines are just strong. Give me a a sec, guys. Nice. But if you're enjoying this whistle-stop tour of the lists whilst Charles does his homework on stream, let me know in the chat. If you've got any questions about WTC or any specific lists you want to see, let me know. I will get to as many as I can before I get too tired. Yeah, Maulers, Fortunes are all very sold out because they're very good now, thanks to the World Eaters Codex. So, we have Rares. I'm going to say that's how I pronounce it. Rubrikai Phalanx, All is Dust. This is not fun for the GSC because this means that whenever I shoot at him with damage 1 stuff, he gets a +1 to his save. So if you all remember the Armor Contempt meta and the first All is Dust when it all uses a stack, it's very annoying. But this is a very interesting list. I'm very, very intrigued to see how this plays. We have a Demon Prince of Tzeentch with some enhancement, which I'm assuming is going to be something obnoxious because all the T-Suns ones are obnoxious. Sorcerer and Terminator armor. Don't know what Lord of the Rubrique does. I know Risen Rubrique gives Infiltrate, and I'm assuming that that's going to be an infiltrating unit of Terminators. Ooh. And then a third Sorcerer and Terminator armor as well. 2 units of Rubric Marines with Warp Flamers because Warp Flamers are good. Then we get to the real fun stuff. 3 units of 10 Scarab Occult Terminators. These guys in this detachment rip. They have the +1 to save from the detachment rule. There's also a stratagem after you lose a Psyker model out of a unit, so you can choose to lose the Sergeant. The entire unit then gets to shoot back, which is very good if you're shooting at T3 bodies with a 5-up armor save. That are only shooting with 1 damage weapons. So, you know, that's going to be a thing that I'm going to have to try and deal with. If I play, I don't really want to deal with it, I'll be honest. I think this is a very bad matchup for me, but we'll see. Unit 3, Enlightened, presumably didn't have the extra 30 points to make that unit of 6. 2 units of Zangors. This list is very similar to nothing I've ever seen before. I played against Terminator heavy lists before the Codex with T-Suns, and they were just about manageable and not very annoying, but this feels like it can be much more annoying with all the defensive buffs they can hand into it to protect it. So very interested to see how this plays and how they pair around it, more importantly. It feels quite slow, but with the Infiltrate and then the double moves and the rest of it, probably not. Then we have Chaos Knights. This is Lords of Dread. So one of the not Infernal Lance builds. We have 2 Knight Lancers and a Knight Atropo, a Gatling, Knight Despoiler ×2, which are very good. 36 shots that are 622. Pretty all right, that. But this synergizes, or is very similar to the Imperial Knights list with the double Lancer build, except you've changed Canis for an Atropos. Doesn't feel like a great trade for 30 points more. With some, but you have got double Gatmans, so pretty good. Then a little bit of allies. We have 2 units of 3 Nurglings, a Poxbringer for presumably deep strike scoring play or backfield holding, and a Beast of Nurgle because Beast of Nurgles are good. They scout, they regenerate wounds, they are hard to shift at T9 with 7 wounds, I think it is. It's pretty good for 65 points. And then last but not least, we have the Death Guard, which is Virulent Vectorum. So this is the more popular of the 2 now that we're seeing as the Death Guard book is sort of settled. People are moving away from Mortarians in favor of Virulent. This is the quote-unquote index one, where they have sticky objectives and some shenanigans to get reroll hits and wounds and number of shots and all that good stuff in shooting. And then push the Contagion range a little bit earlier for 2 CP if the Warlord is on the board. We have a Biologist Putrefier, a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Revolting Regeneration, which is the 5-up Feel No Pain, Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence, a Malignant Playcaster Mortarion, so we are seeing the big boy himself, and the Tallyman for some CP generation. So we have out of this list, we've got like, here's a free strat, here's CP generation, and then here's Mortarion for a bucket of value. It's quite a solid list to start with already. We have a big 10-man Plague Marine squad. This looks like he has gone to make it fairly shooty rather than massively punchy with blight launchers, melt guns, and plague spewers, but it still has 4 power fist in it. So why not on a unit that can just punch real good with reroll wounds from the firing support out of a Rhino, which is what the Rhino gives in Death Guard, which is quite nice. Then a unit Chaos Spawn, 2 units of 3 Death Shroud Terminators, 3 Bloat Drones with heavy blight launchers, and 2 Poxwalkers. So we're not seeing any Mephitic Blight Holders here, which to me screams that they're not looking to use these guys with the +1 to hit and +1 to wound into Knights. And they're going to be just a bit more of a very durable mid-board bully into the other matches. There's lots of Flamers here. So perhaps they're looking at Eldar lists with the MSU or some such stuff that doesn't want to hold the mid-board too seriously until they need to. And then Mortarion is pretty good. I'm surprised I'm not seeing more of him. I think the rest of the Death Guard book is probably just a little bit too cheap, and that's why people aren't taking it. So that was Team Romania's lineup. They are running 3 of the most repped factions with the CK, the IK, and the Necrons, and the Death Guard. So they're running a lot of the popular factions. It'll be very interesting to see how we do that. So we are playing them Supply Drop, as I said, with Tipping Point, a map which looks a little something like... Oh, no, the PDF isn't loading. Crucible. Talk amongst yourselves. There's high quality production value. Have I scrolled past it? I might have scrolled past it. Tipping Point, here we are. So copy this in here. Ooh, there we are. So fairly close boards. With Supply Drop at the start of the battle, we will roll off and generate either one of these edge objectives, and that will disappear in turn 4, and then the other one will disappear in turn 5, leaving just the center for scoring points. You will get 5 points in rounds 1, 2, and 3 for each objective you hold in no man's land only. You don't score your home field in this mission. And then when one disappears, it's 8 points per objective, and when the other one disappears, it is 15 points for the big one in the middle. Supply Drop is one of those missions that quite famously, I guess, or infamously, really favors going second, because you can just completely control and get that free 15 points right at the end, which in teams is a 3-point differential, just like that, from going second if you have stuff alive and in position to take it. So you have a play pattern on this mission where whoever goes first has to try and make a push, either in turn 3 or turn 4, to try and prevent that if they're not already tabling their opponent. So we've got a question from Scott. How do they do board choices in 8-mans? It's much like in 5-mans. We'll both put our defenders down. We'll both put our attackers down. Then we pick the matchups. So we've each identified an attacker and a defender. And then we'll roll a dice. Whoever wins that gets the first board choice. And then it alternates in 2s, basically. So let's say I win the roll-off and Scott loses it. I'll choose 1, and then Scott will choose the next 2. And that's 3 down. Then I'll choose the next 2, taking us to 5 down. Scott gets to pick the next 2, I want to say it is. Which functionally is the last 3, because the last guy has, it's whatever's left over. So you get a fair bit of value out of losing the roll-off, but also that first choice out of all 8 is very, very strong. So it's a very good system. I think it works very well. It leads to the scrum, as they call it, pretty much after the first and second defenders are out. You have the back 5 or the back 4 matches left are a lot harder to control who gets paired into each other, unlike in 5-mans where it's fairly easy to dodge a bad matchup or force matchups. 8 it can get a little bit more hectic, especially in that mid-board time. So hopefully that answers your question. Right, moving on. We have so that will be our round 1, which I believe is the Thursday night. So the way that WTC works is they play two games a day rather than 3, and they are 4-hour rounds. And I think that 4-hour rounds has an additional half an hour for pairings as well. So they are long rounds. We will play 1 round on Thursday night. Then we'll play 2 rounds on Friday, 2 rounds on Saturday. No, maybe not. Then I think we will play 2 rounds on the Saturday, but the first one will be the group stage, and then the second one will be outside of the pod stage, and then Sunday we play 2 more. I'm going to look up the actual schedule, because I've said that very confidently based on what I'm remembering last year. I'm not convinced I'm right. because this will be good to know. General. Wait, I know you play 1, 2, 2, 2, 2 for 7 rounds. So that would be. Do we start on Thursday or Friday? I think we start on Thursday. Yeah, it will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So tournament outline. Yep, so pod phase game 1 will be Thursday night, so 17:30, 5:30 until 10. Those 4.5 hour rounds. And then Friday, you play game 2 and game 3, and that will be the pod phase done. Right, there's only 3 games in the pod phase. Then we have the seeding phase, which is 4 rounds. So you play 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, and we'll have a final victor at the end of all of that. Who is streaming it this year? I want to say it's Wargames Live. I'm not 100% convinced, and I'm not sure if the French stream are going to be there this year. I think there are. I don't know if they've announced streaming, but from the rumors that I've heard, it is a lot less than the 7 or 8 streams that they had last year. I suspect it will be Wargames Live, but there is nothing that I'm able to confirm for you, I'm afraid. Right, so that was Romania. Let's go into round 2. Hidden Supplies, Hammer and Anvil with Latvia. So Hidden Supplies has changed from what people were used to. It is no longer hold 1, hold 2, hold 3 with 6 objectives. It is hold 1, hold 2, hold more, but you only can hold the 1 and 2 in no man's land. So your home field only counts towards hold more, but it will not score you any points. This really is better for armies that want to bully the midboard, as are most missions where you don't score your home field. If I just go and run into the midboard and take you off of all the primary every turn, you are going to struggle to keep up in points unless you can completely clear me out on the midboard, which some armies will not be able to do against GSC, and some armies won't be able to do it against other stuff. So we'll start with their comp. They've got Death Guard, Space Wolves, Chaos Demons, Leagues of Votann, Thousand Suns, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, and Necrons. There's a graphic floating about somewhere about the breakdown of which teams are where. Let me see if I can, of how the meta looks. I'm sure everybody has seen this graph, but I will try and grab it. I'm really trying to scroll back through the breakdown of all the different pods, all the different factions is easier said than done. Let's pop it in here. There we are. Okay. So we have Death Guard, Space Marines, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, Thousand Suns, Necrons. So they have got 2, 4, 6 of the top 8. Well, 7 actually. 7 of the top 8. They only don't have Eldari. That has been replaced with Chaos Demons. There we go. So a very strong lineup here by faction popularity. And then let's get into it. Right. So Death Guard. I'm just going to mute myself and blow my nose because otherwise I'm going to end up sneezing down mic and nobody wants that. Okay, back in the room. Yeah. There was a lot of content made last year. I'm surprised there aren't more streamers this year, but I think it's a new venue, so they might want to keep it smaller scale whilst they figure out the venue a little bit. So this is Champions of Contagion. This was one of the initially people saw and like, this is very strong. Each battle round they'll be able to change their Contagion, and the strats in this detachment are very good. We have a Biological Putrefier, Triple Order Contagion, which is telling me there's going to be 3 units of Death Shroud in here. A Lord of Virulence for the reroll hits on your hits for blast weapons, or just hits of 1 normally. Excuse me. A Malignant Playcaster and 2 Tallimans. This is hilarious because people don't remember that the Talliman isn't an epic hero. One of them is the Warlord. He can go and hide at the back. The other one can go out and be an action monkey or in a screen. If you kill one with indirect spam or something, I'm still going to generate CP. So I like this little bit of tech. The Biological Putrefier and Malignant Playcaster combo very well in Champions of Contagion. It has a 1 CP stratagem. Pick a unit that is being led by 2 characters, give it fight first. So a unit fight first Plague Marines behind a wall is hard to deal with, and I believe the Biological Putrefier is the guy that says you can't end an advance within 6 of me or something silly like that. So, to nobody's surprise, we have 10 Plague Marines, kitted out to be a bit more punchy, 4 heavy plague weapons, 1 power fist, and like we're not seeing the flamers, we're not seeing the melters. stand behind a wall and have fights first and just be annoying. 3 units of 3 Desperate Terminators with 3 Lords of Contagions get Sustained and Lance on the charge, which is just ludicrously good with their attacks. 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers, because Infiltrate is just good no matter what attachment you play. 3 Flesh Mower Bloat Drones. These are punchy boys, 10 attacks each, 7/2/2, I want to say it is. It's crits on 5s, isn't it? Perfect. I don't know Death Guard that one. 3 Blight Launchers and a Chaos Rhino. This is just leaning into the fact that whoever decided Bloat Drones should be 190 points was making a decision. That's as far as I'm going to say on that one. This is a very strong list. It goes, what's strong in this book? I'm taking 3 of it, and I do not want to play Knights, because I cannot kill big stuff, but I can really kill lots of little stuff and medium stuff. This looks like it wants to go and tangle with Marine bodies. It wants to play into World Eaters. It wants to play into even other Space Marines. It's got enough stuff that it can pull down big stuff, but it's hard to kill. Then we have Andres. Apologies for the namings. Space Wolves. So we are seeing Saga of the Beast Slayer, which I believe is the lethal hits detachment. I'm going to not look this up because I don't have the codex. It's this one. So we've got whatever this Legendary Slayers one does. I think it is the one where they go and kill stuff, and so they get like lethal hits against big stuff and sustained against little stuff. So we have a Wolfguard Battle Leader, an Iron Priest ×2. These guys are using the FAQ or the new update, as it were. You not give everything rapid fire. They get to pick one weapon and give it rapid fire. Logan Grimnar and Ragnar Blackmane. I think Ragnar still does the advance and charge, and Logan still has Space War, where they get reroll charges for a turn. Unit of Blood Claws, because OC3 is a thing that this unit can get, I think. A unit of Intercessors for sticky objectives. 1 Ballistus Dreadnought. 2 Predator Annihilators. 1 Repulsor. Unit Scout Squad. 2 units of a unit of 3 and a unit of 6 Thunderwolf Cavalry, and then 2 units of 3 Wolfguard Head Takers. 1 unit has dogs, which can split for free, so they'll have a unit of 3 dogs running around. The other one doesn't. That's the point difference there, if people were curious. And then 10 Wolfhorn with Storm Shields. With the Thunder Hammers, they are the anti-monster vehicle variant rather than Dev Wounds now, I think. So pretty good into big stuff. Rapid firing with the various Predator las cannons, or rapid fire hunter killer. Why not? I guess. And the ballistas with rapid fire is quite a nice pickup here. It'll be interesting to see how this plays. I don't know Space Force well enough to comment. Then we have Derek, which is a longer name here that I'm not going to go into. Shadow Legion, so Chaos Demons with CSM allies. Bellacore and Fadethirster. A big unit of 6 Nurglings and a unit of 3 Nurglings, so really looking to capitalize on stringing out the midboard and gumming it up with infiltrates. 1 unit of Flesh Hounds for some uppy downy scoring. 3 units of Screamers, because 3 units of 6 Screamers is apparently a thing. 10, so 1 ACDC brick, 1 Cultist Mob, which are sticky objectives and backfield screening, and then 3 units of Raptors, so very similar to the Team Island one. Still doesn't mean I know what it does. Then we have Leagues of Votann. This is another Index Leagues of Votann. These guys were surprisingly common. Votann in general, I think, sit quite good into the meta. So we have Brokir Ironmaster with Appraising Glare. Point and objective, get a Judgment Token. We have the same, or a very similar Ironhair Champion, but he's got the Mass Hammer, which is D6 plus 1 damage, which is hilarious. And then you read there's like AP1, it's like, it's not that great. With 3 attacks. 2 units of Hearthkin Warriors. I'm not sure what these stars mean, but the weapon loadouts. 2 units of 10 Berserks, a unit of Jaegers, 2 units of 6 Pioneers, and 2 Land Fortresses and 3 Sagittals. This, I believe, don't quote me now, is point for point the same as the Romanian list. Probably means it's the same as Tim Schneider's list from whatever GT he won not too long ago with them. So it'll be very interesting to see how this goes. We talk on what we're playing them in a second. Then we have George, who is running Kindred Sorcery, 1,000 Suns. I not know which one this is. Eldritch Vortex. This is Grand Coven. Then this is the index one. Umbrella Crystal for Uppy Downy. So it's the Doctrines one. We have Exalted Sorcerer on disc, Infernal Master, Infernal Master, Infernal Master. One of them has the Vortex that used to be called Vortex of something else, and now it's called that. Magnus the Red, so we do see Magnus in this list. 1, 2, 3 units of Rubric Marines with Warflamers, 1 Chaos Rhino, 3 Mutant Vortex Beasts, 18 of the Boat Goes, and a unit of 10 Zangors. So really looking to leverage some fast speed to trap the midboard and goat jail somebody with shooting, packing up behind with pretty good, and Magnus is just a beat stick. Magnus is very, very good on WTC. Triple Infernal Master is interesting. I'm surprised there wasn't Triple Sorcerer. Those Sorcerers are ludicrous with the +1 to wound that they can get when they hop out of a Rhino. But Infernal Masters are still pretty good with their Flamer getting it, I suppose. Then we have Chaos Knights. This is hilariously 1940 points. Decided you don't want to play with 60 points. Tyrannical Core, I think, is Infernal Lance. No, it's not. It's Lords of Dread. There we go. So this pod so far has 3 Infernal, 3 Lords of Dread squads and no Infernal Lances, despite me saying it was more popular. Double Atropos and Lancer, and then double Despoiler, 1 with Gatling, 1 with Melter. This is again very similar to Romania's list and very similar to a lot of the Lords of Dread lists. And Imperial Knights list like to run double Atropos plus Lancer plus Canis, basically. And a War Dog Carnivore to round it out because he had some points. Presumably, everything's got whatever enhancements he wants. Sticky objectives, I'm guessing 1 has fights first. I don't think he's got Warp-1 Stalker. I'm guessing is the Uppy Downy enhancement. So we'll have Uppy and Downy. 1 is Vect and 1 is fights first, I believe. So here's a bunch of big shit that's going to run into the midboard and sticky objectives and punch you in the face. It's pretty good. Then we have the Noble Lance, so the Indomitable Heroes, the Imperial Knights version. With agents, we have double Atropos and Canis, which is pretty good if you want to go into a Knights meta. Packing +1 to hit and +1 to wound into Titanic. Pretty tasty. 3 Helverins and a Warglaive. 1 Calidus for Uppy Downy Vect. An Immolator to split 10 Battle Sisters. So this is going a little bit wider on scoring than we've seen out of other Knights lists, rather than taking a 4th big boy. Just the 3. Mysterious Guardian does exist on an Atropos, so there is Uppy Downy and Deep Strike availability there. So a very well-rounded Imperial Knights list. This is something that very similar to a draft that myself and Reese cooked up not too long ago, so not overly surprised to see that exact configuration here. So we are moving on to Sergei with his Necrons. Commander Protocols is Awakened Dynasty. So it is the... How many warriors are we going to see in here? I'm guessing we're going to see like either 18 Wraiths or 40 warriors. Because I think that's a hilarious build you could do. So Catacomb Command Barge with the Feel No Pain, I believe is this one. So he's just looking for a bit of survivability on the +1 OC aura. Chronomancer is Shoot and Scoot on a unit of warriors. Illuminal Zeras is Armor Contempt and like AP. Imitate gives him some CP. Then we have a Locust Lord with Uppy Downy. Another Locust Lord with no enhancement. Oricon to go with the Chronomancer. Oricon will go with the Royal Warden to give 4 up invuns. And then we have the other Royal Warden as well. So we are probably looking at 40 warriors here. Yep, there it is. One of them will have stealth and the 4 up invun. And then the other one will just be much harder to shift. Ghost Dark for reanimates after you shoot at me. 1 reanimator to buff that. 2 units of Crypto Thralls. A unit of Flayed Ones. 6 Locust Destroyers times 2. So this is where the shooting is coming from out of this list. Looking for the lethal hits and the ability to get full rerolls to hit. Yeah, probably thinking a little bit more consistent than Double Doomsday Arc can be if you roll low on the shots. These guys are just a fairly reliable bucket of dice. So that is Latvia's list. Very, very solid. They've taken, like I say, 7 of the 8 favourites or popular lists factions. And they have recently done very, very well on... at Pirate Cup, I believe they drew England, which is a very good result from one of their first international events. We are playing on Hammer and Anvil, which are these maps here, which is a very short map and with very deep deployment zones. So For this mission, which is hidden supplies, players will roll off. Whoever wins gets to pick which way the objectives split, and it can really change how the map choice works. It's very very important to factor in. You can create either very open if you win and split this way, for example, on map 3, or you can create very closed objectives if you just pop them behind a wall. So interesting to see how that plays out. The midboard screening is the important part in this game, where you only score the midboard, and this map deployment zone helps you do that very well because it's a lot easier to screen the center board. So my army does not like it so much. I will find it quite hard to connect without finding some interesting routes or angles to approach it. So we shall see how that goes. And that is probably going to be one of our hardest matchups as well. We are, like I say, Latvia are doing very well at the moment. We are aware that they're doing very well, and their lists are very solid. So we're going to put a fair bit of prep into that as well. We're going to put prep into everybody. I don't know why I'm trying to say it like we're taking anything lightly. We are not. So then we have Spain, our tier 1 from the pod, and our last game in the pod phase. This will be our game 2 on Friday. And the mission is Take and Hold, so standard Warhammer. Hammer and Anvil, again, the same maps that we've just talked about. And Spain, who are running Blood Angels, Drukhari. Very interesting, we'll touch more on Drukhari in a second. Necrons, Imperial Knights, Orcs, Death Guard, Leagues of Votann, and Chaos Knights. This is a fair number of the top factions. No T-Sons is notable, and Drukhari is quite good, and Orcs. So very, very interesting mix here from Spain as a tier 1 nation. They are the only tier 1 nation with Orcs. There are 3 tier 1 nations that brought Drukhari, to be fair, so that's not wildly unpopular. But otherwise, they have got 1, 2, 3, 4. They have a Space Marines player? No. So they've got 4 of the top 8. I think the top 8 goes to Votann, so maybe 5. So let's get into their list and see what they are packing. So we have got Red Thirst, which is Blood Angels, Liberator Assault Group. This is quote-unquote Index 1. On the charge, they get +1 attack, +2 strength, which is very good for an army that's packing a bucket of attacks anyway. Blood Angels Captain with Rageful Warrior to once per game get really, really choppy with Sustain 3. A Captain with Jump Pack, a Chaplain with Jump Pack, and I believe Speed of the Primarch is Advance and Charge. Or it's the once per game fight first, I can never remember the difference. Chief Librarian Mephiston, because he has every ability and keyword under the sun. Lamates, because he's very good in Death Company. And Lieutenant with Combi Weapon for Infiltrate, Scoring, Reactive Move, Shenanigans. Which is very nice. Assault and Sales Squad, probably being the transport mechanism for the Rage-Fueled Warrior, so that you can get full rerolls to hit from Oath and full rerolls to Wound if you happen to be stood on an objective. 2 units of JPI, or 3 units of JPIs. These guys really do just punch up with Oaths in this detachment with the extra attacks and the impact mortals and grenades. They can definitely do the work. 2 Bile Predators. Lever, Advance and Shoot. Basically, they just get assault weapons on some pretty nasty flamers. Certainly causes an issue for stuff like GSC trying to interact with that. If I play into this, I have to figure out a way to deal with those 2. 10 Death Company Marines, probably with Lamates for the -1 damage, gives them a good amount of survivability. And another a 5-man squad, potentially running around on their own. I don't know if the Chaplain can lead anything else, but might join with them. 3 units of 3 Sanguinary Guard, because these guys caught a big, big points drop, and frankly, we are surprised that we're not seeing more of them this year. Blood Angels got cheap, so people favouring Space Wolves over them is interesting. I need to research the Space Wolves book. We then have 2 units of Scout Squads to round it out for some scoring and mission play. This feels like a very simple, I'm going to run at you and punch you in the face. Is there anything you can do about it? I would not be happy to play into this. They have enough attacks, and the Flamers cause me headaches. We have Alvaro Perez with Drukhari. So this is a theory that we saw floated in the rumor mill, as it were. Would Drukhari be used as a Knight's answer with their access to a bunch of Haywire? If they take Reaper's Wager, they can start to put in Harlequins with the Skyweavers, with the Scourges, and it gives you a little bit of rerolls. The army now has reroll 1s to hit all the time, which adds a fair amount of consistency. depending who's winning the wager, they can get reroll 1s to wound as well. So we see an Archon here with Arch Raider. I believe that's Scout 9 on the vehicle that he's embarked in. Beastmaster, who has Scout 9 on his datasheet, and moved 12. Something ludicrous like that. Drazar, for punching with the unit of Incubi. Lilith, because she is just so good once per game, going to many attacks with sustained 2. Urian Rakath with his 4 up Feel No Pain, stand back up on a 2+ with a 4 up Invan. He's good. He can heal Rax back, which gives you some access to making the Pain Engines very survivable. Unit of Cabalite Warriors and a unit of Witches. 2 Venoms, presumably to split down both of these units. A big 9-man, 10-man squad of Hellions. I have no idea what Hellions do, but I'm here for it. 1 unit of Incubi, probably with Drazar, maybe. 1 unit of Mandrakes times 2, so 2 units of Mandrakes. 2 units of Ravagers with 3 Dark Lances. 1 unit of Reavers, moves 14, has Fly of Immortals and a Melter, a Heat Lance, which is like a Strength 12 Melter gun, which is quite good. 1, 2, 3 units of Scourges with 2 Haywires and 1 Dark Lance unit to give a little bit of long range shooting, and 2 Skyweavers with Haywire. So here we see, like I said, a potential answer into Knights or a vehicle heavy meta. There are builds you can do in Reaper's Wager that have something like 50+ Haywire shots, which is hilarious. Until the Knights player just goes first and kills everything, which is also hilarious. Moving on, we have David with his Necrons. Command Protocols means we are looking at, once again, a Index 1, Awakened Dynasty. So, character protection and Resjank. Let's play. How many warriors is he bringing? My guess is 20 warriors and 12 wraiths, without looking too much into the characters. So we have Catacomb Command Bard with Feel No Pain. Double Catan, so Voidbringer, Nightbringer combo. Void Dragon, sorry, and Nightbringer combo. Used to see this a lot in Canoptic Court. It's a very nice 1-2 punch. They're good. The Nightbringer is probably still pretty cheap at 305, and the Void Dragon gives you answers into big boys. Anti-vehicle 2+ in with his anti-vehicle thing. It's quite nice. Imitate Stormlord for CP generation. Veil of Darkness, Locust Lord, and 2 Technomancers. Okay, so we have no battle line, which means I was wrong. There are no warriors in this list. So probably just the 12 warriors, the 12 wraiths there. Panoptic Reanimator, 1 unit of Scarabs, 2 units of 6 wraiths, a unit of Deathmarks, a unit of Flayed Ones, and Locust Destroyers. So, yeah, dropping the warriors in favor of double Catan, which feels like it is probably pretty reasonable. Gives you a lot of good answers because the double wraiths are chunky enough and can string back to get that bonus OC fairly easily. Explains why he's got the Feel No Pain on that to protect it as well. Alright, then we have Edric with Imperial Knights, Indomitable Hero, so it's Noble Lance, it's the Index 1. I don't think there's anybody running not Imperial Lance, Noble Lance, so I'll stop talking about that in a second. Canis Rex with double Atropos and a Knight Errant with Uppy Downy. Not sure what the Errant does. He might give advance and charge to little dudes. I doubt it because he's only got four shooties, so I don't know what the Errant does. But double Atropos and Canis is a sufficiently good answer when you pack it up with 6 or 8. I think it is shots from the autocannons here at strength 9 -1/3 damage. Can get anti-fly 2+. Is a pretty good list. This is a lot less scoring than we've seen out of other lists. It's mono Imperial Knights in the pod, but has probably a lot more damage in it. So it'll be interesting to see where that balance lands. Now we get to the real fun one, and I've seen this list talked about a lot, so I'm very happy that it's in our pod and we get to see it. It is Speed Freaks Orcs, which is everything gets assault and everything can fall back and shoot, I believe. Or one's a strat or something like that. It is hilarious, and then when they they get assault, I think it is, and they can just fall back and shoot. I don't know. We have a Beast Boss. That's the only character, is the Warlord, probably the cheapest character you can get your hands on. He goes with 10 Beast Snagger Boys. When he connects in the War, he gets rerolls from the Beast Snaggers, and then he's like anti-monster vehicle 4+. Dev wounds. Pretty good. It will one-shot a Russ, I know that much. 2 units, or 2 trucks. 3 units of 6 Death Copters with the rockets, so the blasts, D3 shots, twin links, 9 -1, 2, I think. Maybe even D3 damage. Hilarious unit. Love it for 160 points. They are hard to kill. They are fast. And they shoot real good. Unit Gretchen, unit Commandos, 3 custom booster blasters, which I don't know what they are. 2 Storm Boys, cause yep. Now we're talking about actual orc stuff. I know what we're talking about here. 2 units of Tank Busters for anti-tank shenanigans. I suspect this list will do quite well in tonight's if it gets into it. 3 Warbikers, so just a whole bunch of bodies. This looks like it could gel you very quickly. With its long bases, if it gets a board where it can move on. And I'm sure they have practiced it enough to be able to move it efficiently. So very interesting to see how this one goes. We have Javier with his Virulent Vectorum Death Guard, so the index quote-unquote one. Biologist Putrefier with a, and then a Demon Prince of Nurgle with the 5 Inferno Pain, Lord of Contagion. So we're looking at either 6 and a 3 or 3 and 3. Death Shroud, Malignant Paycaster with Arch Contaminator, which I think it might just be like a bigger aura. For Contagion range, Mortarion and the Tallyman. So everybody's running the Tallyman. Don't leave home without him. He is good for CP. Unit of 10 Plague Marines, kitted out to be the more shooty version with Melter Gun, Plague Spewers, and Blight Launch. Oh, don't know what I've done there. Go away, Co-Pilot. Chaos Rhino for the reroll wounds. I want to say it gives 2 units of 3 Death Shroud Terminators. Oh, there's 3 units of 3, so 1 will be going with the Lord of Virulence as well, I guess, as a bit of extra character support there. He gives reroll hits, or maybe reroll wounds in shooting, which is quite nice to his squad. 2 Blight Launcher Drones, and 2 units of 10 Poxwalkers. So heavier on the infantry here with the 3 Death Shroud and Mortarion, looking to bully the midboard quite effectively as well. On take and hold, that will have some strength. If he can get a good grip of the center objective, it can be hard for armies to dig him out. It takes a lot of killing, that list does. Then we have the Votan. We are a slightly different enhancement this time around, so it's not exactly point for point the other two. We have Wayfarer's Grace on the Iron Hair Champion, which will stand him back up on a 2+. So I am starting to suspect that we will see some Hearthguard in this list. We have an Iron Hair Champion ×2. 1 with hammer, 1 with hammer, so both with hammer. 1 unit of warriors, 3 Sagittars, 3 units of 5 berserks rather than the 10-10 that we've seen in other lists. And then 2x5 Hearthguard with 2 land fortresses. The bit I'm immediately going to check is, does he have Teleport Crest? He has Teleport Crest, so these guys have the flexibility to either go in Deep Strike or go out of a land fortress. Excuse me, a frog in the throat. We then have 3 units of 3 Harnkin Pioneers, the bikes. So not the big 6-man shooty bricks, are very killy, but still good. Much better at scoring and fitting in and finding angles with these guys, and they still put out enough shooting that they're not to be trifled with. And then a unit of Jaegers, as we've discussed, for midboard holding, infiltrate, and reactive moves. Lovely stuff. And then last but not least, we have Chaos Knights. Malefic Surge is going to be Infernal Lance, so we do have one of the Infernal Lances in our pod. We have a Double Gat Spoiler ×2, so 2 Double Gat Spoilers and 2 Knights Tyrants. This list is something that I looked at, and I was like, this is built to really, really hate on GSC. 12-inch Deep Strike Knife from the Tyrants is annoying, and then the 36 shots from the Gatlings that can get ignore, cover, and sustained hits is good into my real good, real fun into my T3 5-up armor save bodies. This list is one of the few lists that has the volume to like singly pick up a 20-man brick, which is annoying. 3 Carnivores for a little bit of punchy threat, so that people don't just run at you and tag your 4 shooty knights, I assume. And then 3 units of 3 Nurglings to double down on that infiltration and protection screening goodness. So this list looks like you're not allowed to deep strike near me, and you're not allowed to run at me list. So I quite like this list. I don't like having the prospect of playing against it, but it's very well rounded. It's very different from the Infernal Knights lists or the other lists that we've seen running around. I'm very intrigued to see how they pair around it and how they play with it. And that is going to take us through all of the lists. For reference, the map we're playing on again for day 2. So I think what they've done this year is each of the days have their own map layout. So in theory, we don't have to change the maps as much in between rounds, but I think in practice, people will still do that. Take and hold is hold 1, hold 2, hold 3. So there is we can get to round 3. We get to play 3 games of Warhammer before we can even hold our home field objectives, which is exciting. It's a big shakeup. I'm very intrigued to see how the new prior missions work on this format, and I think it'll be real good fun. So we're going for about an hour and a half. So we'll probably knock it on the head there. If there are any lists you want to see me cover, or if there's anything you think I should take a look at, I will try and get another stream in, talking head stream between now and WTC. I've got a gameplay stream coming up on Thursday. It will be Gene Stealer Cults, my WTC list against Thousand Suns, which is we've got Brendan coming on the stream, his latest army that he's learning. So that'll be a lot of fun to try and figure out what that does on WTC terrain as well. So you'll get to see a slightly different playstyle and terrain layout if you're interested in that. If you do enjoy the stream, please like it. Please share it to your friends who you think will enjoy the content that I make here. I have a good collection of battle reports. They are all, and will remain so, free to watch on demand. You can support the channel directly by liking and subscribing for free if you'd like to be a membership, or if you'd like to be a member, or super chats or super thanks. I didn't mention those at the start, but any bit of support I get out of the channel goes straight back into the channel. It helps me build the studio. It helped me make all the upgrades that I want to be able to provide you guys the best content as I can. Check out the channel sponsors, Resident War Games and Mighty Melee Games, using the links and discount code down below. Gives me a little bit of kickback, but most importantly, thank you for watching, guys.